Understanding auditory sensitivities in autism and ADHD. Auditory sensitivities can be difficult to grasp for those who don't experience them. Sounds that are harmless or even pleasant to some may feel overwhelming or distressing to others, especially individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. In this video, we'll explore what auditory sensitivities are, how they manifest in autism and ADHD, the science behind them, their emotional impacts, and practical ways to foster understanding and accommodation. Let's embark on a journey to better comprehend what it's like to experience the auditory world through neurodivergent ears, and, most importantly, how we can create a more inclusive environment for everyone. Auditory sensitivity is an altered way of processing sounds that can make certain noises feel distressing or painful. These sensitivities are part of the broader category of sensory processing differences seen in neurodivergent individuals. For some, auditory sensitivities occur when the brain amplifies specific sounds, making them disproportionately loud or invasive. For others, certain frequencies, patterns, or unpredictability in sound can be triggers. Everyday noises like chatter in a crowded coffee shop, the hum of a refrigerator, or the screech of a chair being dragged may feel unbearable. It's important to recognize that auditory sensitivities are not preferences or overreactions. They're neurologically based responses that are deeply tied to sensory processing systems in the brain. Let's take a closer look at how these sensitivities manifest in autism and ADHD. Sensory processing differences, including heightened auditory sensitivities, are a hallmark of autism. Individuals with ASD often experience sounds differently from neurotypical individuals. Their heightened auditory processing can make even faint sounds, like a dripping faucet, feel unbearably loud or intrusive. Crowded, noisy environments might leave them completely overwhelmed because they struggle to filter competing sounds. Crowd chatter, background music, and even machinery noise might all blend into an unbearable cacophony. For someone with autism, a sudden, sharp noise like a fire alarm or barking dog can lead to a sensory overload response. This response might include anxiety, covering their ears, escaping the environment, or in some cases, experiencing a meltdown where coping mechanisms shut down entirely. It's important to remember that these reactions aren't within their control. They occur when their sensory system is overloaded to an extreme degree. Auditory sensitivities in ADHD look slightly different, though they often share common threads. For individuals with ADHD, the challenge usually lies in filtering sound. Imagine trying to concentrate on a phone call while chatter from a nearby table, the hum of an air conditioning unit, and the clinking of dishes in a cafe all claim your attention at once. For someone with ADHD, the brain struggles to sort these competing signals, making it extremely difficult to focus on one sound amid the noise. This inability to tune out background noise can disrupt learning, work, or social interaction. While ADHD is most commonly associated with challenges in attention and hyperactivity, sensory sensitivities, especially auditory, often play a role in the frustration and distractions they experience. Why do individuals with autism or ADHD experience auditory sensitivities in such distinct ways? The answer lies in the brain's sensory integration and processing systems. For autistic individuals, the sensory system functions differently. Certain regions of the brain, such as the amygdala, responsible for processing emotion and threat perception, may overreact to sensory input. This heightened response leads to the perception of sound as threatening, triggering anxiety, or a strong emotional reaction. In ADHD, auditory challenges often stem from differences in attention control systems. The prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate focus, has trouble filtering irrelevant stimuli, causing sounds to compete for conscious attention. These differences are why background noise can feel chaotic rather than ignorable. Both conditions involve distinct but overlapping mechanisms with one common result: the auditory experience can feel overwhelming. Auditory sensitivities don't just affect hearing, they have ripple effects on emotional and social well-being. Imagine being mislabeled as difficult or overly sensitive simply because certain sounds are overwhelming. For individuals with ASD or ADHD, this is a common experience. The inability of others to recognize the impact of their auditory experiences can lead to stigma, frustration, and feelings of isolation. Over time, consistent exposure to distressing sounds in environments that lack accommodations can cause anxiety, depression, and burnout. In social settings, they might withdraw entirely, finding it easier to avoid triggering events rather than risk discomfort or being misunderstood. The social toll is compounded when caregivers, teachers, or employers don't take these sensitivities seriously. It leaves individuals feeling unsupported and invalidated, making the world feel like an even more overwhelming place to navigate. The good news is that there are practical ways to ease the challenges posed by auditory sensitivities. Small but thoughtful changes can make a world of difference. For individuals, tools like noise-canceling headphones can be life-changing. These devices allow them to block out distressing sounds and regain control. Earplugs, soft background white noise, or soothing music can help create a buffer against overwhelming auditory input. In shared environments, such as classrooms and workplaces, creating sound-friendly spaces is key. Consider setting up quiet zones where individuals can retreat if they're feeling overstimulated. Using cushioned seating or soft materials can absorb noisy echoes and create a calmer environment. Flexibility and understanding from others are just as crucial. When planning an activity or event, ask about an individual's sensory preferences. Offer sound breaks or alternate arrangements when possible. For those supporting someone with auditory sensitivities, empathy is essential. Begin by recognizing that auditory triggers and responses vary widely from person to person. One size does not fit all. Take the time to ask about their unique needs and actively listen to what they share. If a child struggles with noise in school, work with teachers to create a sensory-friendly plan. In social contexts, communicate with them to ensure environments are manageable. Patience and respect go a long way. Avoid labeling auditory reactions as over-exaggeration. Instead, validate their experience and work together to find practical solutions. To truly understand the impact of auditory sensitivities, it's important to hear directly from those who live with them. For someone with autism, hearing sounds feel like being caught in a sea of stimuli, unfiltered and overwhelming. One individual might describe fluorescent lights humming as thunderous, while another finds the noise in public transit unbearable. Despite these struggles, many navigate daily life with remarkable strength, developing their own coping mechanisms and tools. For those with ADHD, the auditory world often feels chaotic. While trying to focus on one task, every background noise competes for dominance. Yet, these individuals often thrive in dynamic settings that embrace their creativity and adaptability. By learning from their experiences, we gain not only empathy, but also the insight needed to foster supportive communities. Perhaps the most important step we can take as a society is to shift our understanding of auditory sensitivities. Instead of perceiving them as problems, let's view them as valid differences that deserve respect and accommodation. When schools, workplaces, and public spaces prioritize inclusivity, everyone benefits. This means going beyond tolerance to actively create spaces where individuals with autism or ADHD feel safe and empowered. Advocacy begins with awareness. Share resources like this video, promote conversations about neurodiversity, and encourage inclusivity in all environments. Together, we can create a culture that celebrates the differences that make us human. Auditory sensitivities in autism and ADHD may not always be visible, but their impact is profound. By understanding the science, recognizing emotional and social challenges, and implementing practical strategies, we can better support those navigating a heightened auditory world. Ultimately, the key takeaway is empathy. Whether it's through offering noise-canceling tools, creating quiet zones, or simply listening to lived experiences, each small act moves us closer to a more inclusive society. So let's move forward not just with awareness, but with action. Together, we can make the auditory world kinder for those who experience it differently, one sound at a time.